Yep. Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Jai, the host for today's live webinar session. So we have been conducting our IP Ed case study webinar series since early this year to present to you the IP strategies adopted by some of the world's most innovative companies. Today, we have come to the fourth topic of our case study series on Microsoft, a company with products that most of us may have to use in our daily lives. Microsoft is among the top investors in innovation, with an IP portfolio that reflects their long-time investment in R&D across multiple technology areas, ranging from computer devices, cloud systems and services, software to emerging technologies like AI, mixed reality, and quantum computing. So it will be very interesting for us to learn about Microsoft's effort to focus on innovation worth IPs to enhance their company's value and also ensure that their IP portfolio is aligned closely to the future of the industry. Now let me go through some housekeeping. There will be a Q&A session after the presentation for us to answer your questions. Therefore, there will be no interruption while the speaker is presenting. However, we do welcome questions from you. So you are encouraged to post your comments or questions in the chat box if you are using Zoom right now. And also, and if you are using Facebook, there is a comment box there. So please post your questions over there. And we will try to answer as many questions as possible during the Q&A session. Since we are an IP firm and in no way related to Microsoft, we hope that you can post questions related to today's topic or anything related to IP. And also, we would like you to help us to spread the word about this webinar to encourage your family members, your friends, or your colleagues to join us right now. So if you are viewing us through Facebook, you may also share this webinar by clicking the share button. So I think we have quite a number of participants on Zoom right now, and I believe there are some on Facebook. So please tell us more about yourself in the chat box. Let us know your name and also your company's name. If your company has a website, we hope that you can also share with us in the chat box. So while waiting for you to introduce yourself, let me move on to the next survey questions. So I hope that, okay. So we have Miss Anis here from Innovim. Hi, Miss Anis. All right, so Microsoft offers a wide range of products and services that you might be using every day. Let us know what are the Microsoft products or services that you often use. If you are a regular user of Microsoft Office to complete work using Words or Excel, or Microsoft Outlook is the program that you use for sending emails, or you often use Microsoft Teams for online conferences, please type 1. And I would like to know if any one of you are using the Microsoft Surface computers. So if you're using one, please type 2 in the chat box. Or if you are using a computer that runs on Windows, I believe most of you are using Windows. Please type the number 2 in the chat box. And choose 3 if you are a user of Microsoft's intelligent cloud products and services, which includes Azure, SQL Server, and Windows Server that are mainly used to assist companies to manage their cloud or on-premise infrastructure. But I believe these tools are usually used by developers and not by regular business users. But if you're using one, let me know. All right, so if you are into gaming and you use the Xbox a lot, please type 4. Choose 5 if there are any products or services from Microsoft that you are using but not stated here or not mentioned by me just now. Choose 5 and let us know. So we have quite a lot of responses from you all. Let me have a look first. All right, so we have Mr. Rahim from Emranti, and we have Dr. Wakar Ahmed, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, from UTM, and we have Dr. Said from UTHM. Navina from Global Tunikara. So we have Zafiq from Kaggle, and Sunmei from Emirates, and Mr. Albert Hua So some of you chose 1, 2 as well. I think, yeah, 1 and 2 will be very common. Mr. Fong chose 3. So you're using Microsoft's Intelligent Cloud, which is Microsoft's most profitable product right now. So we have Ms. Shaw choosing 1 and 2. Yeah, Mr. Albert chose 1. Zafik chose 1, 2, 3. So there are quite a lot of people using the Intelligent Cloud of Microsoft. Mr. Lee Kai chose 1, 2. Isaac 1, 2. Joya Hong 1, 2, 3. And Ahmad 2. Stephen 1 and 2. So hi, Miss Amira from UIAM. Mr. Leong chose 1 and 2. Mr. Utam chose 1 and 2. Yeah, Mohammed Said chose 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Mr. Tim chose 1, 2. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Albert chose 1 and 3 as well. Yeah, we have no Amira choosing 1, 2, Adeline 1, Navina 1 and 2, and Asri 1. So Michael Chi is using a computer that runs on Windows, and Anto 1. There are a lot of responses from you all, so I may not be able to read all of your answers, but yeah, thank you for your response. Also, okay, someone chose 4. Dr. Khadija chose 4, so he's the only one that uses Xbox to play his games. So yeah, it seems that there are quite a lot of you using the Intelligent Cloud, and most of you using 1 and 2. So thank you for your responses. Thank you. So yeah, before we get started, do allow me to give an introduction about our speaker today. He's Mr. Lok Chun Hong, the founding partner of Pintas IP Group, an intellectual property firm that was established for more than 20 years ago. So Mr. Lok has vast experience in handling IP protection and monetization matters in the Southeast Asia region. So without further much ado, I would now like to welcome our speaker, Mr. Lok.
Yeah, thank you, Jai. Let me just share my slides. Can we close this? Just a minute, I'm struggling with my. Okay, very good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to our webinar series. As mentioned by Jai just now, I think this is our 4th series of IP case studies. I think we started this early this year, and so far we have covered companies like Samsung, Tesla, and also Meta. So today we are going to talk about Microsoft. We would like to compile and do our research into those highly successful, innovative company and try to look at their IP strategy and share the findings with our clients and also our friends. So this is the purpose of this IP case studies. So I think my colleague has introduced me. I'm an IP lawyer, IP attorney by profession. I've been in practice for 20 years. My area of practice is in the Southeast Asian region. Yeah, so I'm also active in the IP monetization apart from IP protection. So today I'm going to talk about Microsoft, and I think everybody would agree with me that Microsoft relies heavily on intellectual property for its business, and Windows and Microsoft Office are arguably 2 of the most successful copyrighted works in the history, used by billions of users. So today we are going to look at how Microsoft uses intellectual property to protect its business, to protect its market share and also profit margin, and in the process create trillions of dollars for its shareholders. As of today, Microsoft is the 2nd largest company by market capitalization, it is valued at about 1.6 trillion US dollar. Okay, so this is a bit of, I'm going to start my presentation by looking at the history of Microsoft and a little bit about the various business transformation that Microsoft has gone through from its earliest day as a software company to today. It is a very diversified company. And in the second part of my presentation, I'm going to look into the various IP of Microsoft. Okay, so Microsoft was started by the two founders, Bill Gates and also Paul Allen in 1975 in America. Today, the CEO is Mr. Satya Nadella, and it is at the forefront of technological development for the past 40 years. It is the world's largest software company. As mentioned by Jai just now, it is in many businesses, from the enterprise productivity software to personal computing software, and now to the cloud computing. What Microsoft has done is it has shifted the value from hardware to software, and it makes software available to the masses. So, okay, if you look at the history of Microsoft, Microsoft was started by Bill Gates and Paul Allen in 1975. The first product of the company is the basic software. For those of you who are old enough, you probably will remember this name, basic software. They wrote basic software for the world's first personal computer, launched by Altair, right? Altair, which started the world's first computer. Before that, we only have mainframe by IBM, and then we have Altair, and we have Apple, and we have all the PC maker come into the picture and make computing available to the masses. And initially Microsoft Basic software was shared by the computer hobbyists. They were reproducing and distributing those software for free. They felt that software is a set of coding you can easily share and reproduce, and you don't have to manufacture that the software, so it can be easily reproduced by copying it using a computer. So to Bill Gates, this is not right, because you need money, you need investment to write the software. So in order to have enough return for the programmer to continuing with better software, to write better software, they need to be paid. So Bill Gates wrote an open letter to the hobbyists and condemn this open copying. And Bill Gates' father was a very prominent IP lawyer, so he helped Bill Gates to come up with this software licensing model. So before Microsoft software is circulated for free, then Microsoft was the first company to turn this around and start charging for software by using the licensing model. And the big break for Microsoft came, and when Microsoft had the opportunity to write this operating system, the DOS system for IBM. At that time, IBM do not have any software. So he looked around and he found Microsoft. So Microsoft signed the contract with IBM. And at that time, when he signed the contract with IBM, they didn't have any source code. So after signing the contract, only they went around and they bought the source code from another company called Sierra Computer Product for $75,000 US way back in 1986, and sold it to IBM for $430,000. That's the first big break for Microsoft. And at that time, IBM actually wanted Microsoft to license the software to them exclusively. Yeah, but Microsoft rejected that rigorously. He said that no, this is not it cannot be an exclusive license. So because IBM was bogged down by antitrust, action during that time, so they relented. So Microsoft was able to license the OS, this operating system, not only to IBM but also to other PC makers. So at that time there are many upcoming PC maker like Dell, like Compaq, but like HP. All these people also, they do not develop their own OS, so they have to license from Microsoft. But Microsoft retain full control over the IP. They only license it, and there's no exclusivity. And one good thing about that strategy is you can open up your OS to many users, many PC maker, compared to Apple that practice a closed system. The OS for Apple is only confined to Apple computer, Apple hardware. But Microsoft can be used by all the hardware maker. So it helps to popularize, make the Microsoft OS become commonly used by all the different PC maker. The downside of it is, you need to open up your system to different user, and because of that, you are more vulnerable from the technical perspective. You have more virus, but that's the the trade-off that you have to live with, right? When you want to open up your system to everyone. So, but what remain is the copyright is owned and is licensed non-exclusively to different PC maker. So in the 90s, Microsoft start to change from a B2B business model, selling exclusively to PC maker, to B2C, starting to sell the OS and also to the suite, the productivity suite, like their Microsoft Office, directly to the consumer. So in 1993, they launched the Windows 3.0 OS system, and from there, many other versions followed. And each version was selling like hotcakes. And for the desktop personal computing market, I think the Windows operating system conquer more than 90% of the market share, and they have become the de facto PC software standard, right? So the other 10% is probably by Linux, right? The open source system. And they also have very successful Office Business Suite software, the software that we are using in our day-to-day life, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint. The very software that I'm presenting to you now is Microsoft PowerPoint. And in 2011, Microsoft moved all this Office software to the cloud to become Office 365. As of February 2022, Office 365 controlled more than 48% of the market share, of the Office suite software. So this is the from software and up to year 2000, I think. Year 2000, in the 2000s, I think Microsoft is still very much a window and a software Microsoft Office company. These two products will probably be the main product of Microsoft. But however, with the advent of smartphone, with mobile computing, and the use of PC decline, slowly Android become the dominant operating system for computing device, because everybody moved to mobile phone. So Microsoft wasn't able to capture that change, and then Android become the dominant OS for mobile phone. So Microsoft has to change, right? You cannot keep the traditional window or nothing mindset. You have to evolve. So what Microsoft did was they opened up their software to other competing devices. Like you can run Microsoft Windows and Office on iOS, on Apple device, on Android device, on Chromebook, on Linux. So all the other platforms, you can also use the system. The other thing that Microsoft has done to diversify and also to transform itself is to move into cloud computing with the Azure Windows Azure in 2008. So nowadays, I think more and more people are moving to the cloud. Within the cloud infrastructure, as user, we can build, we can build our application on those clouds. And in 2016, there's an initiative called the Azure IP Advantage was launched, where if you are a user of Azure Windows, you have free license to use all the internet patterns owned by Microsoft. This is something that I will take a look at afterwards at the IP case studies. So this is one of the way that Microsoft uses its IP portfolio, its patent portfolio, to add competitive advantage to its business. 2016, as a diversification plan, Microsoft also went into the social networking space for professional by acquiring LinkedIn for $26 billion US. So as of today, I think LinkedIn has about 700 million users. And most of us are on LinkedIn, right? If we are professional and we want to have a presence in the social media, I think LinkedIn is the social media for the professional that's taken seriously. And also 2018, Microsoft joined the Open Innovation Network because Microsoft knows that, the trend for, there are certain people also going towards open source. So they have to join instead of fighting the trend, they have to join the trend. So by joining this OIN, or Open Innovation Network, all the members of the network agrees that, not to sue other Linux open source operating system related pattern, right? They wouldn't sue all the other members. They will, that they own, and they will cross license it for other members to use. But this commitment of not suing is only limited to the core application, the core of Linux related application, not at the application layer, but the core layer, the Linux layer. So anything related to the OS core layer, yeah, all the members agree not to sue each other. But at the application layer, people are still free to develop proprietary technology and to litigate. A little bit more about Microsoft business transformation. Microsoft also moved in a big way into games. 2011, they launched Xbox, its game console market. 2014, they bought Minecraft, right? And those in the younger generation, everyone knows Minecraft. And Minecraft has developed into a mini metaverse with about 140 million users. January 2022, Microsoft purchased Activision Blizzard for 69 billion. Right? This is a very popular gaming platform with many famous games like Call of Duty, Candy Crush. All these games has more than 100 million users. So by buying this, by buying Activision Blizzard, the acquisition provide Microsoft with the building blocks to move into the metaverse, because all these game companies, they know how to monetize in a virtual world, right? This game company has been selling game items like pets, like weapons in the game setting. And if you want to make money in the metaverse, you need to know how to charge. So Microsoft, acquired this know-how by buying this company. So with this acquisition of the new IP, they can lock the game into the Xbox, and they become the IP mold for them to fight against other competitors. Okay, so this is the breakdown of the Microsoft, how Microsoft makes its money into three main sections. Enterprise software like Office, Microsoft Office, Office 360, LinkedIn. This is one segment where contributed 32% of the revenue. The second most profitable revenue now comes from the cloud computing, from the server, the intelligence server, contributing 34%. And the next segment is personal computing, contributing another 34%. Personal computing will cover products like the Windows OS, the gaming, the Bing search engine, and all that. So you can see that Microsoft is a highly diversified company, very well positioned to face the next wave of technology disruption. Okay, so I move into the second part. I'm going to relate the business of Microsoft to the IP strategy. So when we talk about IP strategy, we have this term called economic mode. Economic mode is actually a barrier of entry, right? That surround your core competency. Every businesses that has a competitive advantage, they have to defend this competitive advantage against competitor. You have to, in order to have a sustainable competitive advantage, you need to build economic moat. So Warren Buffett is the person that helped popularize the concept of economic moat. And one of the main economic moat for Microsoft is their intellectual property rights, right? And of course, they also have the network effect. Like for example, if you use Microsoft Word, you want the other person to also use the Microsoft Word to be compatible. So that's called network effect. But the main one will be the brand for the economic mode will be for Microsoft will be the IP assets that they own. Okay, so a short introduction to IP. I think many of you would have known, but just for today's discussion, I think the main types of IP will be patents for your new technological innovation, copyright for your source code, for your literary work for the content, trademark to protect your brand, industrial design to protect your shape, some of the graphical, the design of the graphical user interface is protected by industrial design. And of course, trade secret. There's a lot of trade secret within the company that you want to protect because it is some of the source of your competitive edge, right? So these are the types of IPs that all the companies should be aware of and should protect jealously. And all these IPs, they are assets, they are intangible assets that you can actually put a value to, and as you can see afterwards, it's one of the most important value for Microsoft, most important asset for Microsoft, and on all these assets, intellectual property comes in the form of a monopolistic right. It's a legal right given to you by the government. So if you own this right, if you registered a patent, a brand, a content, then no one can touch it without your consent. So this is a legal monopoly. It's intangible, but it comes with a legal force, right? And it's limited by country because you get your legal rights from every individual sovereign country, right? You cannot get your rights extraterritorial. If you want a protection in US, you must get from the US government. You cannot get from another government to get protection in the US. This explains why this IP is jurisdictional and it is limited by time. You cannot own this idea forever, right? If you want to own the idea, there's a limited time, and during this limited time, you exercise a monopoly. So this is the fundamentals of IP rights that is applicable in all countries. So I'm going to look into all these 4 types of IP and share some of the case studies with you afterwards. So the source of competitive advantage for Microsoft is intellectual property. If you look at all their products, most of them are software based, and most of them has very innovative function. And all these new and innovative ideas, they are protected by different types of IPs. If it's a functional idea, they patent the idea. If it's the content, like the source code, they copyright it. If it's the brand, they trademark it. And if it's the GUI, the shape of the physical or the the software-based design, you can protect by industrial design. And a survey was done on the Fortune 500 S&P 500 companies in US. It was discovered that as of 2018, 80% of the value of all the S&P 500 companies come from the intangible asset, right? 80%, and the 5 top companies, Apple, Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon, and Facebook, they are the 5 largest company by market cap now in S&P 500. Compared to many years ago, in the industrial age, it's the other way around. But in the knowledge economy, the intangible assets like your software, like your copyright, like your patent, like your database become the most important asset. And there was someone has done a valuation of the value of the intangible asset of the company compared to the enterprise value, which is the market cap of a company. They found that Microsoft come in as the most as a company having the most valuable intangible asset. It has 900 billion US dollar worth of intangible value, and it constitutes about 90% of the value of the company. Yeah, Microsoft undoubtedly is a IP company, is an intangible asset company. Okay, so let's look into the various IP of Microsoft now. First, I would like to start with copyrights, right? So these are all Microsoft copyrights. At one point or the other, we will we will be using one of the software developed and operated by Microsoft, right? Needless to say, Microsoft Office and OS is in most of our desktop, right? And also our Outlook, Words, yeah. So this is a popular software by Microsoft. You might be asking, how come Microsoft can come up with so many software and in such a short time? If they want to move into the cloud very quickly, they can come up with a complete suite of cloud software. If they want to move into Microsoft Teams, right, the online meeting software, very fast they can launch the software. The secret for that is lies in the IP management system of Microsoft. Microsoft actually is the one that I think Microsoft is quite unique in they have a software componentization system or a software componentization program within the company, right? So since the early days, since the 70s, Microsoft was actually it focused on developing a programming platform. It's not a standalone application, but it creates a platform for other programmers to develop application for the computing hardware, right? So in order to do that, they have to have a platform, and within the platform, you can have many different types of tools. A lot of commonly used functions and features, they come in the form of tools. So from the early days, they create a library of programming components, which are the building blocks of intellectual property. And all these components have predefined interfaces. So these tools, this component can plug into another component easily. So a lot of this component can be reused in another software. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Yeah, it's all being kept in this library of programming components, and these tools can be easily leveraged by Microsoft own staff or by other outside company. If they want to use, they can just license the component and use the component in another software that they want to develop. So by doing that, what Microsoft has done is to build an IP management strategy, doing a programming architecture framework, and those tools that they develop for different functions and features, they can interact easily with the other software component. So by doing that, the software componentization, you can leverage your IP across different platforms, across different product line. You can allow third parties to also use it, right? So this competitive advantage actually is key to Microsoft's ability to scale up its operation and to move into a different segment very quickly. So these are the 3 lessons that we can learn from the Microsoft IP management strategy. First, it has a base of knowledge, right? So this knowledge base is it comes with well-defined processes, right? How a new IP, a new software component can be codified, and this component can have compatibility with other components. So I can just take these two like a Lego, I plug with another two, and then become a new application. So this well-defined process to develop and to enrich this knowledge base is one of the advantage of how Microsoft developed the software. The other thing is they keep on evolving this knowledge base, right? Whenever there's a change of paradigm change from the internet to mobile computing, from personal computing to mobile computing, from mobile computing to cloud computing, they keep on upgrading the component so that this component can evolve with time. So with this type of IP management system, they are able to evolve. And they don't have to waste a lot of time reinventing the wheel. So this is something that I think we can learn from Microsoft, from the software management, software componentization management system. Next, I would like to move into Microsoft Trademark, right? So how did the name Microsoft come from? It was actually came from a letter from Paul Allen to Bill Gates. When they started the company, it is a combination of the word microcomputer and software. So this is the derivation of the Microsoft trademark. So as you can see from these slides, there are many brands, right, owned by Microsoft. Some are developed in-house, some are purchased from outside, right, acquired through acquisition. So you have software for the OS, hardware, cloud OS, and also the enterprise productivity software. And you have names like Windows, you have names like Xbox, you have names like Surface, you have names like Bing, which are created in-house, and Outlook, which are created in-house, Explorer as well. And you have names like Nokia, you have names like Skype, and now you also have Minecraft, LinkedIn, all these are acquired from outside. So these constitute the full portfolio of trademark, Microsoft trademark. So if you look at the 2011 Interbrands report, Microsoft brand is worth $210 million US, right? It's the world's third most valuable brand, just behind Amazon and Apple. 210, just one trademark Microsoft alone is worth 210 million. And if you look at IP value of Microsoft name, if you look at the valuation of Microsoft in year 2021, at the time that Interbrand did this survey, Microsoft is worth 2.53 trillion. Now, because of this fact, rate increases and all that, it has come down to about 1.6 trillion, but it is $1 trillion company, right? And the trademark value, it's worth, sorry, it's not 200. It's Microsoft value is worth how many billion? Okay, sorry, 297 billion. So the total 7.8% of the company's assets value is in its trademark. Okay, so it shows how important a brand can be. It's worth a lot of money. And there are certain some cases that I think we can learn from Microsoft trademark experience. Some of the I would like to share one case with you. Microsoft launched its Windows software in 1985, but it delayed. It didn't file a trademark for the Windows brand until 1990. There was a gap of 5 years, right? And at that time, I think Microsoft wasn't aware of the importance of trademark. It was still new, right? But the long gap, within this long gap, many other people have started to use Windows to to mean how a software interface with the user desktop, how the software display interface with the desktop. So people look at how the software interact or interface with the desktop. People say that's the window. It becomes descriptive in a way. The name has become generic because there's a gap of 5 years before Microsoft filed the trademark. So as a result, when Microsoft filed the trademark in 1990, it was rejected because it's descriptive. So how to go about doing it? Because it's a very important brand. It's being used by more than 50 million PCs around the world way back in 1990. So what they have to do is they have a group of well-financed lawyers, very persistent lawyers. So they are able to assemble a large number of evidence, and then they can do a lot of market survey, and they can show that the mark has become popular because of Microsoft, right? The word window. So this goodwill belongs to Microsoft. So as a result, finally in 1994, they get the mark approved, right? So this is, and Microsoft not only filed for window, but also filed for the logo and also other name like the window NT and all that. But this goes to show that when we have a name, it's very important that we file early. So if you don't file early and you become popular, it becomes descriptive. So you need to waste a lot of time, and effort and money to get it registered. So the other case study is that between Lindo and Window. There's another company, they call themselves Window. They also sell software. And so Microsoft took action against Lindo. And they sue Lindo not only in America, they sue them in some of the European countries and also Canada. But in 2002 application, Microsoft applied for injunction against Lindo for using a word which is similar to window. And the judge also denied Microsoft application for injunction on the ground that the name is already descriptive, right? It's already descriptive. And that concept of this interface has also been used by other companies like Apple and Xerox. So Microsoft tried a few times, they couldn't successfully win the case. So Microsoft has to settle the case with Lindo and bought over the Lindo brand for $20 million in 2004. Right? So Windows had some hiccup, right, initially when the brand was being established. So this is what happened on the trademark front. Now I move into the patent front. I would like to share with you the Microsoft patent portfolio. Microsoft has a huge portfolio of patents. As you can see, it has more than 70 over to 80,000 active patents, right? It's really, really big portfolio of patents covering different areas. 61% of Microsoft patents are in software. Another 26% in non-software patents, like for example, the surface and also, the hardware. And also 13% of the patents are on design pattern. A lot of the GUI, graphical interface, are already protected by the Microsoft design. Okay, so these are the breakdown of the technological area protected by that Microsoft filed patents in. They filed a lot of patents on the OS system. They are the dominant players, and they actually use some of the OS patent to sue Android. I will show you later afterwards. They also filed patents on AI. They filed patents on AV and AR and VR, augmented reality and virtual reality, and also all the way to quantum computing, right? So these are the technology breakdowns of Microsoft for patent protection. In terms of country, they found the most patent in America, followed by China and Europe, and the rest of the world, of course. Yeah, but the main power of their patent is found in US. And the number of filing has increased over the years from 1999 when they started to learn about patent. They found 16 to now 2017, they found 12,000 patents per year. Yeah, so this is, it shows the importance of patent as a tool for Microsoft and for any other innovative company. I think we need patent to protect your core competency and also to gain freedom to operate, and you can charge for royalties and all that. So I'm going to go into the case studies now. I have 4 case studies. I'm going to deliver it within probably another 15 minutes. You know, how Microsoft uses the patent. You know, there are different ways that the companies can use patent for your business, right? You can use a patent defensively to secure freedom to operate. Meaning, if I file a patent in this area, people cannot sue me. I have freedom to operate. Sometimes you use patent offensively to sue your competitor, right? That's the offensive. Sometimes you can use patent to collect royalties. That's called profit center. You can also use patent as an integrated role. You can use it to increase your competitiveness. And also, you can use patent to protect the future market, right? Something that has not happened but will happen, you can protect it. So in the 4 case studies that I have afterwards, I'm going to show with you how these different values are being used by Microsoft. Okay. First, let's go into the early days, the 2000s, where the Office and Windows were the main profit centers for Microsoft, right? At that time, I think Microsoft relied heavily on Office and Windows for their profits. So Office, Windows, and Office, they have about 1,700 active patents covering this productivity software. Okay, and you know, I think the beginning, Microsoft started to file patent after they were sued by Apple way back in 1988, right? So I'll start by sharing this story with you that Apple was the first one actually to come up with a graphical user interface where you have a screen and you have the information, you have the menu, you use the mouse to move, and you can point and you can instruct the computer using the mouse. This is what I mean by GUI. This particular concept was started by Steve Jobs, by Apple. And at that time, Microsoft was engaged by Apple to write the productivity software like word processing and spreadsheet. They outsourced the software to Microsoft. And Bill Gates fell in love with that, but he tried to say, open up this GUI to all the PC makers, but Steve Jobs didn't want to do that. He wants to keep the system closed only to the Apple computer. So what Bill Gates did was, Microsoft developed their own OS using the same GUI concept. So they launched the Windows 1.0. So and this Windows 1.0 actually copied a lot of GUI introduced by the Apple OS. So because Apple and Microsoft, they have this very close relationship, they all agree to license the system or some of the GUI to Microsoft for the Windows 1.0. But Microsoft has a very smart legal team. The agreement also say that this license will not only limit to Windows 1.0, but to all the future Microsoft program. All right, so this program, this licensing terms actually help Microsoft, and Microsoft improved the software further and launched 2.0, and more feature design element were copied by Microsoft. So you know, Apple took an action, sue Microsoft for copying the look and feel, and Apple, you know what the judge say? Judge say that, you know, the 179 out of the 189 visual display that was complained against Microsoft was covered by the licensing agreement. So licensing agreement covered for that already. And some other, the 10 that was not covered is about function. It's a concept of graphical user interface. It is not the look and feel. So this concept you cannot protect. This functional aspect of the software you cannot protect by copyright. You need a patent, and Apple didn't file a patent, so you cannot sue because there's no patent protection. So that is the reason why Microsoft start to file a lot of patent. Right, in one of the patents filed by Microsoft, way back in 2004 is on this improved graphical user interface. So in this improved graphical interface is you have a top level functionality tab like your file. Yeah, nowadays if you open up your Microsoft Office, you have many top level functionality, and when you click on it, the functionality associated with the top level will be presented in the same logical group, right? So when you click files, all the related function will come up, and when you select the top level tab, it will switches the mode to the functionality connected with the selection tab. So that was actually patented by Microsoft. Microsoft went one step further. They also patented the shape, the GUI, the shape of the compute of how your screen appear. And these are all the different shapes protected by US design, which is our industrial design. Especially this 532 design. I think this is very common. Whenever we open up our Microsoft Office, you will see these boxes, right? So this shape and this function of GUI was actually patented by Microsoft. And what Microsoft did was Microsoft took action against competitors, like for example, Corel. Corel, another enterprise, another productivity software company. They do WordPerfect. WordPerfect. For those of you who are old enough, probably in the early days, there are many versions. You have Microsoft Word, you have WordPerfect, WordStar, and all that. So Corel is one of the company that doing this GUI, and Microsoft sued Corel in 2015, alleging that they infringe all this pattern, and they successfully win the case. Microsoft successfully win the case. Their willful infringement was awarded against Corel. So this is an example of how Microsoft protect the core competency and take action. And next will be in the 2010, the world has moved to mobile computing, right? Now, the mobile device has become the most popular, the de facto for computing device. So now a lot of the patents filed by Microsoft in the OS operating system also cover the mobile device. Microsoft has 13,000 active US patents on this area that will have application on the mobile computing. So Microsoft actually took actions against Google, alleging that there was infringement of some of its patent in its Android OS. Like for example, the SMS message and video compression and all that. So to fight this case, Google actually acquired the patents of Motorola Mobility, bought over a huge portfolio of patents and countersued Microsoft. So both parties came to a settlement now because there is countersue and the two big giants fighting. They need to use that nuclear detente strategy that if you sue me, I'll sue you back, and both parties come to a settlement. Right? This is a case study. But Microsoft actually not only go against the Android Google, but they also go against Android smartphone manufacturers. Like for example, you have other manufacturers like Foxconn, you have Acer, all these other companies, Android smartphone companies, and they force the Android smartphone companies to pay royalties. And in fact, Microsoft received for every handphone that they manufacture using Android, they have to pay Microsoft $5 to $15 US, and they make at least $2 billion US per year from those smartphone manufacturers as royalties. So this is a case, an example of how patent is being used as a profit center. You don't have to sell any product. You just make your money by licensing your patent. Okay, so now we are now in the cloud world. We are now in the cloud computing world now, and cloud is becoming more and more important, more and more popular, as you can tell. And Microsoft has more than 11,000 patents relating to cloud computing. So cloud computing was started by Amazon in 2006. excess capacity, they ran it out. But now it has evolved into a very profitable business. In 2022 alone, Gartner estimated that the sales for cloud computing will surpass 495 billion US dollar, and it is still growing, right? So Microsoft joined the game by launching Azure in 2010. So if you look at the patent number filed by the three main company, the other main company is Google Cloud. Microsoft has the most patent with 11,000 patent. Google second with 3,000 patent, and Amazon with about 1,000 patent. And people also do a valuation on the patent, cloud patent owned by the three companies. I think Microsoft has the most valuable patent. So what is Microsoft going to do with this patent advantage they have? They launch Azure IP Advantage. So Azure IP Advantage is actually a program to say that, okay, all my patent relating to the cloud, I will make it freely available only to the Azure user. So if you come to my cloud and you build computing infrastructure, you are free to use my patent. No one can sue you because all the area, the 10,000 patent will cover a lot of area for cloud computing already. So you have a defensive barrier for your customer. Yeah, so it gives a benefit to the customer. It gives a protection to the Azure customer from the intellectual property hazard. So the competitor, Amazon and Google, they don't have so many patents. They cannot do that, right? So this patent box cover most of the possible scenario, and you will create a customer loyalty long-term to Microsoft and their cloud services. So this is how you can use patent in an integrated manner to increase a competitive advantage. Now, this is not about suing people, but this is giving your customer advantage by giving them immunity from being sued because of the patents that you have. And I'm running out of time, but I'm going to take another probably few minutes of your time to talk about the patent for the next wave, the next future. How do you own part of the future, right? So when we talk about the future, I think a lot of us would agree that the next paradigm shift will be metaverse, right? So we started with the first personal computing by Tile, and Microsoft came in to offer the software part of the personal computing. Then internet came in, and you have mobile computing. Internet, you have companies like Amazon came up. Mobile computing, you have Google come in. And these are all the paradigm shifts that we witnessed in the past 30 to 40 years. Each paradigm shift open up new opportunities for entrepreneurs to develop new products and services. And the next one will be metaverse, right? So metaverse will be the future gateway to the internet. Metaverse is about a programmable 3D virtual universe that we as a user can access through augmented reality devices and the virtual reality devices, right? So it will make internet more immersive, internet experience more immersive. Instead of looking at internet in the metaverse, will be inside the internet using this virtual reality and augmented reality devices. So there's a lot of innovation going on the extended reality device software, enterprise application where Microsoft is very strong in, right? So imagine that in the future, we all will be using, this type of metaverse device. We can have a conference together and we can see each other virtually in a 3D format. And metaverse, as metaverse evolved, I think innovation in the metaverse and protecting those innovation by IP rights is a critical business strategy for companies. So in this front, I can share with you also that Microsoft is leading with the most patent filed. You can see that Microsoft filed about 158 patents, followed by Samsung and all the other companies. So Microsoft patents are focusing on enterprise metaverse, on extended reality devices, on holographic augmentation and all that. So focus of Microsoft versus Metaverse or Facebook Metaverse is Microsoft Metaverse will be focusing more on the enterprise, integrating the Microsoft team with AR, VR, MES platform, and incorporating MS Office. In the future, I think not long from now, we can do virtual meeting using virtual avatar to give seminar, to do meetings, and this is what is going to happen. And we do some research, and we found that 5 of the most popular pattern or most highly cited pattern of Microsoft, these are the 5 most highly cited pattern, meaning when people file pattern, they will be cited against this pattern. All these pattern by Microsoft, most highly cited pattern, are all related to Metaverse. Okay, so it shows that Microsoft is not only filing a lot of pattern in Metaverse, many of their patterns are highly influential. They are highly cited, and because of lack of time, I have actually condensed all these 5 in this handbook, which you can download. You can download, you can scan and download if you want to read more. And this handbook, you can learn, how Microsoft protect the Metaverse world with the technology. Roughly what they have done is, in this most highly cited with 1,005 citation, you can this headgear, head-mounted device, comes with, of course, you can look at any physical object of interest, and you can measure the distance between the object and your glass, and you can put a labeling information on that object of interest. This is what this pattern is about. So anyone, as you know, pattern is a game of combination. Anyone who have all these combination in this headgear device will be infringing this Microsoft pattern, right? And in the future, if there's a labeling on an object of interest using this device, it will be considered an infringement. And the next one is you can put advertisement. When you go anywhere, this headgear is smart enough to know where you are, and advertiser can feed advertisement to your spectacle, based on your location, and they have an integrated processor handling content and feed that to you. This is the second highly most cited. Thirdly is when you have a head-mounted eyepiece, which can be connected to an external device. Like for example, you can fly a drone, right? When you fly a drone, you can take photograph of the drone. The drone can send a signal back to your spectacle, and you can control the drone using your spectacle, right? This is what this pattern is about. The 4th type of pattern is about sound and the sensor. So you can put a sensor on your spec, and and the sensor can sense the surrounding and give information to you, tell you the surrounding condition. And the 5th one is to create an immersive environment when you play game, where you have a primary display and you have projector having a secondary display, and you can turn your room into a big screen using this combination of inputs and display board. Okay, but I don't want to take too much of your time. I exceeded my time by 5 minutes. I just want to say that this is my last slide, that Microsoft has been a very successful company. They have evolved into, they have transformed itself, changed with time successfully, and they use patent and intellectual property as the economic moat that protect them and give them the sustainable advantage. September 2022, they are valued at $1.85 trillion US. If you have bought $1,000 worth of share when Microsoft went for IPO in 1984, that 1,000 would have been would have turned into $3 million US, right? So this is a fantastic company, a very diversified and a very well IP protected company. With that, I come to the end of my presentation, and I will pass the mic back to Jai. Jai.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Lok. Let me switch to my screen first. All right. So yeah, thank you, Mr. Lok, for the interesting presentation. So we will now take some time for questions. So let me read out because we received some questions. Wait.
Yeah, we try to limit to maybe 10 minutes. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to get the chat box. All right. So yeah, there is a question from Mr. Fong. So he asked whether, because he's doing some open source algorithm that uses Windows plugin. So does he need to acknowledge Microsoft as the framework used to create the application layer?
Yeah, I guess so. I think they come with the terms of use, right? I think you probably need to read the terms of use if you intend to use any of the Microsoft open source algorithm. You need to comply with the terms of use. I believe there are certain conditions there that you need to fulfill. So I cannot answer you, but I think you need to refer to the terms of use.
Yeah. So yeah, because I believe open source materials, they have terms and conditions too. It all depends on the type of open source materials that you're using. So yeah, there is another question. It's not Microsoft related. It's posted by Mr. K Tan on Facebook. So he's asking whether he can patent an antibody that is produced from a natural protein, or does he need to modify the protein in order to make it patentable?
If there's a new use of the antibody, right, you can protect it as a new use patent. You can, yeah, you don't have to modify if you have a new application for that antibody.
Yeah, but if it's yeah, because in some jurisdictions there are restrictions to
but in Malaysia and in Europe is okay. In America, maybe not. So it depends on the jurisdiction, but for Malaysia, it is fine.
Yep, you may have to modify the protein to make it patentable. Okay, so
we can contact you privately if you are interested to discuss a bit more about this.
All right. Mr. Shivu asks, how exactly does a patent how do you patent a software invention?
Yeah, it's a flow, right? If you have a new flow and this flow can solve a technical problem, you can patent that flow. Yeah, when a software can be protected by two ways. One is the source code, the copyright of the source code. But source code is only about how you express the flow, right? Different programmer can express the flow differently. But if you want to own the flow, step one, do this, step two, do this, step three, you can patent the flow. Once you patent the flow, no one can copy the flow or write another code on that flow. So you can patent, you can own that software function by owning that software flow.
Yeah, and depending on jurisdictions too, because some jurisdictions, they may require you to include hardware information as well. So you need to have information, you need to claim the hardware and also the software, the algorithm flow on how it works. So Mr. Anto asked, according to the data shown on the presentation by Mr. Lo just now, he's wondering, not every country, he's wondering about the patentability of software inventions in different countries. So how does Microsoft solve these problems? Because Mr. Anto wrote that software patent provides a lot of valuable income to Microsoft, but it seems that not all countries accept software patents. So how does Microsoft solve this issue?
No, as what Jai has mentioned, if your software has a technical effect, meaning it can solve certain technical problem, and some countries would need you to include in your claim certain hardware element, right? So depending on the country that you go in, if let's say America allows all software, but another country needs you to have the hardware element, then when you go into this country, you probably have to modify your claim to add in certain element of hardware to your software claim, right? To make it a patentable subject matter.
Yeah.
So you can modify, like for example, you have to look at countries and their law pertaining to software patent and comply with that when you enter that country. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Right. So there is one last question from Mr. Uttam. He asked, how successful were the cases of copyright infringements?
If it's copyright is direct copying of the code, I don't think you can argue, Copyright is about the coding. If someone would copy your coding, replicate your coding, there's no defense, it's infringement. So how successful, it depends on the efficiency of the court of where you are from, right? Certain countries are more efficient than the others. So I don't think how successful you can sue, but sometimes it will take a bit longer for the case to be decided. But I think eventually you should get your way in court.
All right, so yeah, I don't think we have any further questions, but if you do, yeah, you may still ask. All right, while waiting for any new questions, yeah, let me just show you the QR code again. So yeah, if you are interested in downloading our handbook for today's topic, please scan this QR code to download it. I'll leave this slide for a few seconds while waiting for any new questions from you. All right. All right, so since we do not have any further questions, before we end today's webinar, so let me remind you again that we have our next topic on the 24th of November at 2 p.m. Singapore time. So we will be presenting the topic on IKEA's IP case study. So the very well-known Swedish furniture company. So to register for the webinar, please, is there a QR code here? Yeah, please contact us by sending your request to us by email, or you may WhatsApp us. Okay, so we do provide a 30-minute free consultation session. So if you have any inquiries about IP, not just about today's webinar or the next webinar, anything about IP, feel free to contact us at this phone numbers, and also our email address is stated here. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Mr. Luke, as well.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jai. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I hope to see you in our next webinar. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.